Hey, there we are. We're recording finally. It's Steve Grillo, and you're listening to Grillo's Aftershock XL on YouTube and maybe everywhere else. We'll figure all that out when we get there. But today is an important day. There's a lot of things going on. I usually do a fun, goofy little, not so serious show, but today is going to be a serious show. I try not to get political, but today, the person that I have waiting in the wings is has become a very dear friend and a great part of my life. I enjoy her friendship and our talks, and she's one of the guys, but she's also extremely beautiful and a very talented person, but also has a extremely interesting past that is, I would say, cemented in United States history. You can't deny that, and she had a, an interesting story, and I'm proud to call her my friend. She's on the line right now. I have Gennifer Flowers with me.
Hi, Steve. It's great to be with you. You know, you'll forever be Santa for me.
I love the fact that I'm Santa Claus to you. I have, I am in her phone as Santa Claus. It's
Yeah,
because I deliver the presents. That's why.
yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
I bring the presents. No, you have grandkids, and I always do this for my friends and family. When it's Christmas time and your children are all excited about Santa and they're acting up, I have done this for probably since I could, all my friends started having kids. I have them change my name in the phone as Santa, and then when they're being bad, Santa Claus calls up and puts them in their place.
It was absolutely priceless and precious to see the face when I said, "Oh my gosh, Santa's calling." And then they stopped and looked up at me, 3 and 5 year olds. And then you came on and talked to them as Santa. Of course, they thought you were the real Santa. And you did
Yeah.
tell them they had to be good or they wouldn't get presents. And I'm telling you, it made a big difference. So thank you.
Yeah, I've done that for years. But my all-time favorite was my cousin Bobby and his daughter Callahan.
That
Bobby's retired Navy, and he calls me up and he says, "You're not going to believe this, but Callahan wants to, she wants to trap Santa." And I was like, only your daughter would do that. So I said, put my name as Santa, and I called back, and I played the Santa role a little bit. And then when it came down to the fact that I confronted her about her wanting to trap me, she said, "Well, not
not
anymore."
more. That was so cute. Not anymore,
Yeah.
Santa. I
So
promise I'll be good.
I love the fact that I'm in your phone as Santa, and we became friends on Facebook, I believe, and you did my aftershock show a couple of times. I believe that we did a show. Didn't we do a show? I think it was in 2016 when, oh no, 2020 when Trump lost the election. We did a show that day.
You know, we've done so many shows actually. And I think we did do a show that day. That was a while back to remember. But I always enjoy doing your show. You're really one of the best interviewers I've ever experienced. And I've had a few. And I'm talking about interviewers.
Yeah, and during COVID, when things just started to get lifted, we were both sort of had that cabin fever thing going on, and you were kind enough to fly me down to your place in Branson, and we had like an awesome, fun weekend together that I will never forget because you were so. It was like we both wanted to get the fuck out of the house so bad, and you were like,
Right.
and Branson was just starting to open up again.
Well, Branson actually opened up before most other places, thankfully. It just took about a month for them to start just let it go and we had about 8 million tourists that year come in because it was one of the only places to go, especially with families during that COVID situation. And yeah, I mean, because we there was still a lot of for us to do, if you recall. We went
Yeah,
to
no, well, my favorite was, and it's so funny because I'm living in Vegas now, and they have that restaurant that we went to. You wanted to take me to some really nice hotel that had this fancy restaurant, and it was still closed because of COVID.
right,
And
right,
then
the
I,
Hilton.
on the way back, I said, what's a Cracker Barrel? I thought that was just cheese." And you're like, "No, sweetheart, that's a restaurant." So
Oh,
there we are. You're Miss Fancy, and you're eating. chicken and dumplings at Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, chicken fried steak, baby. Well, I'm a Southern girl. You know, we grow up on that, and you can't find it. I certainly can't cook it, and you can't find it many places anymore. But old Cracker Barrel, as far as I know, we don't have one around here, but in New Orleans,
They
yeah,
have them in Vegas, and I went there to eat just in memory of our little time together.
was it still really good?
It was absolutely good. I got the chicken and with the biscuits and gravy. It was fantastic.
You're killing me.
White trash all the way, baby.
You got it.
So, I know that you've been busy. I know you're a proud grandma, and you have those wonderful grandchildren with your daughter Gennifer, and
Mhm.
but you've also been tirelessly working on a documentary. Let's start out from the beginning, where you first met Bill Clinton. Everybody, for those younger people who don't know, Gennifer had a long relationship with the governor at that time, Bill Clinton. Correct?
Right. Well, he was the attorney general when I first was around him quite a bit as a news reporter. Prior to that, I've been a performer my whole life, a singer, and he would come to places that I was singing, and sometimes by himself, sit at a table, take off his tie, roll up his sleeves, and just sit there and listen to the music. But after that, I became a news reporter. Then I was sent out on stories quite often to cover him and
Now,
what he was doing at that time.
he was married to Hillary at the time, correct?
Uh-huh. They'd
And
been they'd been married about 3 months.
but was that a sham marriage? Was that like a marriage of convenience, or was there any type of? Did you ever get the vibe that he did it because it was like sort of like a political setup marriage, or was he actually in love with her?
Well, I believe that it had a great to do with his political future and what he thought she could add to that. Because you have to understand that Bill came from nothing. He had an alcoholic father that left. His mother was a nice lady, but an interesting person. And for him, Hillary was a real step up because she was upper middle class. He did believe in what she professed to believe in at the time, which was women's independence and pride in themselves and that sort of thing. But I believe that he thought that that was a way to advance because he had goals and
I lost you. You there? Pause it. Okay, we're back. We had a slight little hiccup, but I'm glad because it's now she's back. Well, the penthouse there. We'll get to the penthouse soon enough. But I wanted to get a picture of Jen up there, and I finally figured it out. So we were right in the middle of you telling us about their marriage was a marriage of convenience. No, like Hillary was a little upper middle class, and he was the dirt dirt poor guy kind of thing.
yeah, I truly believe that he thought that she would help his career. And I doubt she was used to getting attention from somebody like him. So that, it all worked out for both of them. Now, I will tell you that I did encourage a lot of conversation about her when I was with him. I thought if you really want to get into that, you need to go find a shrink. Uh, but uh, but he knew a lot about her that didn't bother him that would have bothered anyone else because he just wanted her to stay busy. So,
Well, what are the things that bothered him about her?
well, he knew she was bisexual.
That
That did
wouldn't bother me, but okay,
Well, it would bother me too, but it didn't bother him.
okay. No, it wouldn't bother me. I would like, well, bring somebody in. What's going on?
How can you just imagine that?
No, I'm sorry, but she's not exactly a looker, as you would say.
Up with her big fat ass in it.
So it was just sort of like they basically were together on paper,
I would say so. Yeah,
and
definitely.
then you come along looking as hot as you do, and he's on you like a bum on a sandwich.
Oh, yes, the first time I was sent out by myself after my training with my cameraman, I was sent to the airport to get a statement from him because he was still the attorney general, but they anticipated he was going to run for governor. And that was the question, are you going to run for governor? And we had a lot of other reporters there from the newspaper, televisions, and that sort of thing. And he just came right up to me, and before I could say anything, he said, "Where did they find you?" And I thought, "Oh God, I don't need this." And because it was a man's world, first of all, they didn't want women in the newsroom, so it was a tough situation to make sure that I conducted myself so that they didn't have anything to base a problem on. But anyway, that's how it started, and then it progressed from there. I basically put him off for 3 months, just saying, "Oh, stop it, don't do that," until I decided that I was going to
Wait,
go.
stop it! Don't do what? Was he making advances on you? Was he like what was he doing? He was like, "Yo, why don't you come over here and check this junk out?" Like, what moves was he throwing at you?
Flirted with me constantly, and the eye contact. I mean, to the point, like one time I went to cover a speech, and he was at the front of the room. I was at the back with the reporters. He turns around and sees me, and before it's over, everybody in the room is turning around to see what he's looking at.
And you hadn't had any contact with him, like you haven't fooled around with him at all yet.
I hadn't, but I decided that I had enough of that business, and I had done well with it. I had gotten two really good offers, and I wanted to go back then into the entertainment, and that's when I changed my mind. So
Okay.
it me, I covered a story where they were raising the cost of pounds, and it was in his department, and he had a female lawyer, and she did a great job. I was up in a gallery, and he just kept. And I, after it was over, I went to write what we call a stand up that I do to surmise the story with the cameraman. My cameraman was out setting up the shot, and he came back through, and he saw me, and he came over to me, and he said, "Listen, I've got to have your number." And I said, "Well, first of all, my cameraman is just outside there." And I said, "So I'm going to give you my number, and I want you to go away and leave me alone." And he said, "Okay." Well, then he called, and one thing led to another. Uh, but yeah, it was actually a 14-year relationship.
So 14-year relationship, because I do recall him denying a relationship, and then once things got, they couldn't lie about it anymore. He said that he only had you one time.
One time in 1977, to be specific, which I said, well, maybe 1,000 times in 1977. I don't know why he picked that year. I have no idea. I'm sure they had, there's a belief between cons and liars that if you tell a little bit of the truth on a subject, that people tend to believe you about the remainder. And there was no denying it. Not really, not under oath, which that was the first time he had been under oath. So he
Yeah.
did admit, I had a lot of media call me, "Oh, you've been vindicated." I haven't. One
Yeah, you
time in
break it up a little bit there, Jen. Hold on a second. So, I'm going to just talk a little bit because I want to make sure that it's where this is coming from. So, you guys, I'm just going to recap this because I have questions and I want to be able to get them out of my head before I forget them because I'm at that stage of life. So,
hello,
you guys, you're the reporter, and he comes your way, and he gets your number, and you guys start talking, and you guys now, and when you guys are talking before you guys started your affair, did he complain about Hillary a lot to you? Were you like someone that like, oh, I can't stand this bitch? Like, was he like that to you? Was he? Did you? Were you a confident to him?
not at all. He didn't do that, and like I said, I didn't encourage a lot of conversation about his wife. If he needed counseling, he needed to go to a shrink. We talked
Yeah,
about everything.
yeah. That's
Just
what I
think.
get. So he just flat out said, "Well, she's bisexual."
No, I had heard a rumor about her and a girl named Debbie in his office. This is after he became governor. And it was a very strong rumor, and I thought he should know about it. So he came over, and I told him what I had heard, and he laughed. And I said, "Well, what's so funny?" He said, "Well, she's eating more, than I." And I said, "Well, if you don't care, it's none of my business." So he was very aware of her bisexuality, but she was bisexual. She didn't leave men out either.
Oh well, okay. Again, I always appreciate that. So now you guys start like a 14-year affair.
Yeah, 12 years we were seeing each other, and then another 2 years of, we just talk on the phone now and then.
Okay,
And
and Hillary was aware,
I mean,
or is he just that sneaky of a motherfucker?
she was aware 3 months into the relationship, and she told him she wanted him to stop, and he said, "No, I'm not. Do something about it." And she said, "Just don't embarrass me." Well, trust me, he was far less worried about that than I was. But
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. He had it like that. He was like big pimping.
well, he there was a guard at the mansion that I was. We didn't have cell phones back then, so he had various people that I could call to get to him. Then they would let him know that I called and to call me back if I couldn't reach him directly. And he and Hillary had been out, and he walked in the door first, and the guard didn't know she was with him. And he said, "By the way, Jennifer called, and she heard it." So when they went upstairs, that's when she confronted him and said, "I wanted to stop." Well, she said, "I'm getting real tired of hearing that name." And
Oh,
I said, "Well, it's not going to stop. If you don't like it, do something about it." And she said, "Well, just don't embarrass me." So she was aware.
I think that's he's got a pretty strong pimp hand there. Put her in place. Well, I guess she knew well enough that he was on his way, and she better just keep her mouth shut if she wants to join the ride.
Exactly. That was
So,
exactly.
do you think you were the only one?
At that time, yes. But it was after me, and when we broke up, I broke up with him because I had met someone. I wanted to move on with my life, and I felt I couldn't as long as he was in it. So, I broke up with him. It was after that that the craziness started. And
Yeah, I wanted to get into something real quick because now you have this relationship with him, and obviously it's something that after all that time, it's got to be meaningful because it's not just sex. You guys have a relationship. Obviously, he likes to talk, but and this is where I wanted to make sure you were okay with this because you were kind enough to confide in me about some stuff that that is kind of relative to exactly what's going on right now, which is the fact that um, Bill likes to wear women's clothing.
well, we would. I put makeup on him, and of course he was too big for my underwear, but he had put on my robe, and we just, we when we were in private, away from the public, it was just the two of us, and we could do what we wanted to do as long as we were both consenting. And of course, I was happy to do that. It was fun. But yeah, he liked that.
He
He
likes
liked
cross dressing, and now when
to the
what's
extent
that?
that I don't know if I would say that he likes cross dressing. I mean, I don't know if he made a habit of it or he just did it with me because
Well, I think that when you see the painting of him in Jeffrey Epstein's house in a dress, did that kind of make you go, "Yeah, that seems about right"?
it did, and I
It
thought how
did.
stupid of him to allow that picture to be made. You
What's
know,
that?
I said, yeah, that's exactly what I thought, but I thought how stupid of him to let that picture be made.
I think that it seems like he was just so cocky because he was two-time president and he's above the law that he didn't care because like I saw a report yesterday that he was at the White House like 17 times and the one senator that reported it has been a senator for like 10 years or 17 years. He's only been at the White House 7 times.
I
So
saw that.
Jeffrey Epstein had obviously carte blanche in and out of the White House with his buddy Bill Clinton. And if you have that kind of arrogance and that thought of that you nothing is going to happen to you, why you feel confident enough and more comfortable to put on a dress and have someone paint it because that's what you like doing. You like wearing women's clothing.
Well, nothing has happened to either one of them, and with all the things that have come out. Nothing has. They've never been held accountable for it.
So, but when you saw the picture, much like I did, I went, "Oh my God, that's what you said." You said he kind of enjoyed wearing your clothes.
Well, my robe. I mean, he couldn't fit into my clothes, but you know,
I thought maybe he tried. He was kind of skinny at that point, right?
he's a big guy. You know, he's tall, and I'm petite, and so that wasn't really easy for him. But my robe, of course, you know, robes are bigger, and it was a blue satin robe, as a matter of fact, that he loved.
Well, he's wearing a blue dress in the painting.
Loves blue. It's one of his favorite colors.
Well, yeah, that's why he was maybe painted. Like I see that painting, it doesn't look like a parody. It looks like someone actually sat there with an easel and painted him.
I
And
just imagine why he would let someone do that. I mean, you're right in that, you know, they feel somewhat bulletproof, but still,
it,
that
it's the height of arrogance. And obviously, he has kind of a fetish. Didn't you say he had like a little bit of a food fetish as well?
yeah. I mean, we played fun games with food, and
Like what? What was your favorite game with food?
just, you know, spray each other with uh, whipped cream or ketchup or whatever we wanted, and smear it all over each other.
Well, that kind of explains the cigar with Monica Lewinsky.
God love her.
She
Uh,
looks great, by the way.
doing
But
well.
so he likes to play around when it comes to like just straight up sex. Did he ever show any interest in anybody that's younger? That did like was he ever like playing talking any talk about interest in younger girls or anything like that? Because if he's like on the Jeffrey Epstein Island, we all know what happened there.
No,
Did you have any inkling or any indication that he might have gone down that road, or were you surprised that he was down there potentially, possibly with younger, underage girls? Did that surprise you at all?
surprised me in the fact that it was stupid, and that it was bound to be found out eventually. That's what surprised me. But otherwise, no, I wasn't surprised.
Okay, well, because that's that, that is like, in my head, if that did happen, again, allegedly he's down there and he's allegedly doing these things with children. That is beyond the jail sentence in my head. I think that's beyond reprehension. Is that a word, Jennifer? Help me out there. Beyond reprehension, that someone could jeopardize and ruin a child's life by doing that.
Yes, I agree with you, and it was reprehensible. It is reprehensible. Yeah, I know he never did express to me interest in younger girls or anything like. Now I was only 27. I mean, I wasn't. I was still in my 20s when we started our career.
You look young.
Well, I try. Yeah, it's always been something that I aspired to do and be as the best I can, and sometimes it involves plastic surgery.
Well, listen, I'm about to go under the knife too. Look at this fucking mess.
That's you don't need to worry about that. Men have it a lot easier than women, for that matter, for things like that. But you know, I encourage anybody to do it if that's what they want to do. If they don't, that's fine too. But I've always said, you know, you care for whatever means something to you, whether it's your car or a blouse or shirt, and so why not maintain and have pride in your body and face?
Well, I hear you on that. Whatever if it makes you feel good, fuck everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, you get criticized if you don't. Well, gosh, she's looking older. Oh my God, look what she looks like now. And then if a woman has, you know, plastic surgery, oh well, look, she looks too young. So,
Well, yeah,
so the
you
person,
agreed to do this because of the timing, but you were like, you need to get your hair and makeup people over, and we didn't have that enough time, so we just figured we just go with the audio, and I appreciate that. So let's get into it now. Your documentary that is it done?
it's well, the pre-production is done. You know, there's a pitch deck and a sizzle reel and a treatment is ready to go. And what I need now is to have someone with the connections into the streaming companies to present it. and to see which one would be interested. I did get some interest from HBO Max and A&E, but we haven't solidified a contract yet. But somebody with that kind of influence that believes in the project, it's good. It's
I
called
think
Sexualized
it is
Audio.
very good. It's a shame that this stuff is. Well, I think I'd like to see someone that's out there listening right now that has this connection pick this up like as soon as possible because all the legwork is already done, all the hard work is done. It's basically ready to go, and you just need someone to pick it up. You're at that stage right now, and I'm sure that this helps maybe someone go, oh crap. This is perfect for Netflix. This is perfect for Amazon. This is perfect for Peacock. Someone out there should hear this and contact you as soon as possible before someone else picks it up.
That'd be great. Yeah, it'd
Yeah.
be really great. I love that.
So,
Love to talk to someone
what
about.
what kind of what was his favorite makeup? Did he like lipstick? Did he like eyeshadow? Did you do a whole makeup over on him? Was it more than once?
He'd love for me to put mascara on him. He used my makeup, of course, and we.
Tell me what other movies.
I didn't typically put base makeup on him. I just do his eyes, put some eyeshadow on him, and curl his eyelashes and put mascara on. Um, Something like that is what we would do.
What was the freakiest thing he liked in bed?
Do what?
What was the freakiest thing he liked in bed?
He never did get that freaky. In my opinion, we had a lot of fun games we played.
What kind
Yeah,
of games? Like games. I don't play games in bed. I told the girl down on the bed and we go to town. What kind of games? I want to know games.
like I said, the food games and that sort of fun stuff we thought was fun. I'd meet him at the door in my mink coat with just my garter belt on under it. I mean, we just had a lot of fun. Once we could get in private and have that privacy, because it wasn't easy. We just would, like I said, whatever was comfortable for both parties is what we would do.
And when the things came down, so was there vegetables involved? Was there was it just whipped cream? What kind of food games did you play? Like, was it like did he like pour butter on you and lick it off or something?
That's good. That not butter, but I mean, like I don't cook, but I had made an apple pie, and it was good. And so he came over, and of course he loved to eat stuff like that back then. And he wasn't he needs to eat a sausage biscuit. As far as I'm concerned, he looks terrible. But anyway, so we just I would feed him the apple pie, and he'd feed me, and then we'd just rub it all over each other. and, and, and
You went full on American Pie.
yeah, you know. And just like I said, fun stuff. There was never any perversion. I was not into that at all, and he never suggested it. So it was always a comfortable situation because, like I said, it was consenting.
Well, when you guys now did you called it off? How did the whole thing like start when you guys were together for 12 years and then all of a sudden was it around the presidential when the presidential race heated up that
No,
did you call it off? Did he have to call it off because he was now at the national spotlight?
did not call it off. He anticipated a run prior to the time that he actually ran, and he called me and he said, and this is after I had called off the relationship. And he said, I may announce to run for the presidency, and you're going to have some reporters out there, and I just wanted to let you know what was going on. And of course, he ultimately did not run that time, but no, I mean, it was. Listen, the thing was, I went on about my life, even though we were in this relationship. I mean, he was, of course, in Little Rock. But I went on the road with Roy Clark. I mean, I pursued my entertainment career. Wasn't always in Little Rock, but when I was, is when we would see each other. I felt like he was a confidant and vice versa. And that was the shame of it all, was the betrayal of a real friendship. And we always made an effort to stay in touch to some extent during those times. But like I said, it was time for it to be over, and it was very hard on both of us to do that. Very hard. He cried when I told him. I said, I was just honest with him. I said, I've met someone, I want to give it a shot, and I can't do it with you in my life. And he said, well, if you ever change your mind, he said, we can at least talk on the phone. I said, "So now and then it'll be okay." But then when he decided to run for the presidency, it was real important that we maintained, that relationship and that communication so that I could tell him, for example, who the latest reporter was that came by looking for him. And because it got very intense.
Who ratted the whole situation out?
It's a long story. A guy named Larry Nichols, who worked for the state government when Bill was governor, was apparently caught making calls to the Contras, and Bill fired him. So time rocks along when Bill decides to be reelected for governor. Sheffield Nelson was running against him for reelection, and Sheffield was running against him, and Sheffield got Larry Nichols to file a lawsuit saying that he was not fired for the reasons that Bill said, but because Larry knew of a slush fund that had been set up by the head of this government agency for Bill to spend on women, and they sent out a press release with the name of 5 women, my name included. That was the cow that kicked over the lantern in Chicago that started the fire. Because when Bill then decided to run for, what Bill did with that is he had it moved into the court of a judge that he had appointed who denied the case, sealed the subpoenas. He got it reelected. It was done. When he decided to run for the presidency, the national media starts looking at who's this guy, and they keep finding this press because it's public information. They keep finding this lawsuit and this press release, so they start to investigate it and the women that are listed in the press release. And that's how it started. I did not break the story. I would never have done that. But once it was out there, and I realized that I couldn't trust him any longer, I had to fend for myself and do what was.
Thrust into not just the local, everybody in the world had eyes on you.
Yeah, and I thought if I told the story, was honest about the story, that it would go away, that they'd leave me alone. Well, it didn't work that way. It took on a life of its own, and it's still going on.
Did you
So
did you have any once it was like going back? Did you have anybody from the foundation come visit you at your door?
no,
So that there
no.
was no because allegedly there's a lot of they say that there's a Clinton Foundation body count, and that's not what I said. Allegedly, but there's a laundry list of things that you could factually look at that are just odd about people disappearing under their list, their watch, I guess you might want to call it, and it's kind of scary, and I can't imagine that that nobody came knocking at your door saying, come take a ride in the car with me.
That didn't happen, but my mother got a call, and you had to know their names because it was different than mine. Mother had remarried, and she got a call one day and said, "Your daughter would be better off dead." So, I mean, there were things going on that were scary, but no one, came to my door and invited me to take a ride, thankfully.
Okay.
But uh, yeah, what you're talking about is not. It doesn't have to do with just the foundation. It's called the Clinton body count, and
Yeah.
it has to do, and it goes back. It goes back far.
You
And
didn't accidentally hang yourself and shoot yourself in the chest at the same time, did you? Hello? Hello? Well, that's kind of scary. We just lost her. Jen, you there? Uh-oh. Jen, if you can still hear me, come back out and go back in. Or did the government just shut us down? Yeah. Pause it for right now. Okay. That was odd. Jennifer's having some technical difficulties, just as I brought up the Clinton Foundation body count. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hopefully get Jennifer's documentary name, and then we're going to do a part 2 tomorrow, because there's a lot more that I want to touch base with, and I just hopefully we'll all still be alive. I won't mention everybody's name in the room so you guys are clear, but apparently maybe I gotta, have somebody else start my car today. um, so, okay, Sex Lies and Bill Clinton audio tapes. So we're gonna go Sex Lies and Bill Clinton. Jennifer has a documentary. This is part one. We're gonna do part 2 tomorrow. We're gonna figure out a much better way to get things up and running. But this is pretty good stuff. I want Jennifer's documentary to be heard. I want, if you're a listener, with anybody out there that's listening as a producer or anything like that, there's ways to get in touch with me. I can get you in touch with Jennifer. But so what the surmise of all this is that Bill Clinton liked to wear her clothes, as far as her blue robe, which he was in a blue dress in the Jeffrey Epstein painting. We saw it. She had told me about, her Bill wearing her makeup, and she used to do the makeup. She told me about the food fetish thing, that they used to include food romping around in the bedroom with Bill. They had a 12-year affair where she did love him, but it got too much to really handle after that, when things started getting a little more involved in the politics. And then that he was aware of Hillary being bisexual, and she was with other women at the beginning of the relationship. And there you have it. For right now, stay tuned tomorrow for part 2. We'll get something up and running. But as of right now, Bill Clinton did not show up in court yesterday, and Hillary's supposed to show up today. They will be under, I guess, what that would be called. They did not show up for a subpoena, so they're fucked. How about that? We'll see how the law carries out, because they went for a long time saying no one's above the law, and apparently people are. Bill and Hillary Clinton are, and they're not showing up to subpoenas at court. If it was me and you, I think we might be in big trouble, but they're the Clintons, and we'll see how this all pans out. Stay tuned for part 2 coming soon. Thank you, everybody. Gorillas Aftershock XL. You can get my book, Gorilla Parts, on Amazon and Audible. Fuck, that was kind of creepy right there. Bring up the Clinton Foundation, and boom, all of a sudden the phone's cut off. I'm sure she's okay. She tried to get back on. Tomorrow we'll have a better setup. I was talking to her last night, and I said this is a good time to jump on this shit. So her documentary again, let's see, it's Sex Lies, Bill Clinton audio tapes. She has the documentary done. If you're out there, you're work for a studio, or you want to pick this up and be the showrunner on it, let's go. This is a good time to get this shit out. I'm Steve Grillo. You're watching Grillo's Aftershock XL. And Gorilla Parts, the book, man. You got to go get it. After this, I deserve you buy my book. I just brought you some good shit. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.